Hola y bienvenidos a todos. Welcome to the Rick Steves Europe Festival of Tours. My name is Gabe Gunning, and I have the privilege of serving as your moderator this evening as we explore the historic and eclectic Iberian Peninsula and the tasty, tantalizing itineraries we offer there. Before we get started on that journey, though, I have just a few opening announcements and reminders. The first thing I would like to remind you of is that we are still in the middle of our Festival of Tours. Tonight is just 6 out of 9, and if you would like to watch the recordings of the past sessions or register to view the upcoming sessions, you can do that on the Festival of Tours webpage on ricksteves.com. Also, every day we are getting closer and closer to our May 2 Festival of Tours finale, in which we'll be giving away a Rick Steves Europe City Tour. So in that chat widget, you can find a link to enter the contest, and you could win a tour to London, Paris, Rome, or Istanbul. And even if you don't win the grand prize, everyone can get $100 off any of our 2026 itineraries. We recently launched our 2026 tours, and you can get an early booking discount through July 7th, and that discount will just automatically be applied at checkout. If you can't wait until 2026 to get to Europe, though, I have good news. We still have plenty of availability on our 2025 tours, and some of them are even on sale. You can see here a screenshot from our tours on sale page on ricksteves.com. Now, we have 46 fantastic, thrilling itineraries all across Europe, but tonight we are going to hone in on the itineraries that we offer in Spain and Portugal. And to help me with that honing, I would like to introduce our guests for this evening. We have two presenters. First, from Washington State, it is our tour program manager, the wonderful Robyn Stencil. Welcome, Robyn.
Thanks, Gabe. Happy to be here tonight.
And all the way from Pamplona, Spain, we have one of our beloved tour guides who has worked for us for 14 years now. It is Francisco Glaría. Francisco, bienvenidos.
Bienvenidos. Hola, Gabe. Hola, Robyn. Hola, everybody. Welcome to Spain and Portugal.
Now, speaking of Spain and Portugal, Francisco, I am glad to see you illuminated this evening, despite the fact that it is pretty late out. I know that that was not a guarantee yesterday when we were looking ahead to tonight's presentation. I'm sure that some of our audience was following the news, and I'm just curious, what was your experience in Spain over the past 36 hours?
Well, it has been really one of those experiences that nobody's ready for, but it's been amazing. I don't know if everybody knows that there was a total blackout. There's no electricity in all Spain and all Portugal. It was, well, we don't know what we have to do. And everybody was, well, I guess that Spanish or Iberian culture, everybody came out on the streets. Everybody was happy. There was not too much stress dealing with it. It was fun. It was really fun. Uh, Personally, I was with a Rick Steves tour. I was doing a whole city tour for the Basque Country tour. We had planned we had a lunch that obviously didn't take place, and we just got some things from a supermarket and we did a picnic outside. It was a beautiful, gorgeous spring day. Hey, it was fun. And at the end, one of the things I cannot be more grateful, it's when we work with Rick Steve's company, it's the support we have from the company, but also our tour members. They were in 100%. I love to say that our people, they are not tourists. They are travelers. They know how to, when there's a crisis, hey, you have to deal with it. And it was all joy and laugh. So it was perfect.
Well, thank you, Francisco, and I'm so glad that the power came back on so that you could be with us. Yesterday, we got a message from Francisco saying, please call me soon. My battery is dying and I want to talk about tomorrow. So I'm glad that it all worked out. And Robyn, as Francisco said, obviously, we have tour groups on the ground. And when we travel, whether we're on a tour or we're independent travelers, sometimes we are subject to things beyond our control. But I am curious from your perspective in the office, how did we, handle this situation and prepare for the unexpected?
Well, preparing for the unexpected is something that, you just have to roll with the punches that you get along the way. But yesterday it was kind of all hands on deck. We were up and talking with all the guides who had groups on the road, making sure that they had the support that they needed and their tour members were being supported, fielding calls from friends and family members and future tour members, just making sure that everything was okay. We're super happy to report everyone made it safely to their destinations, which is our primary goal in situations like this. And tours are running smoothly. Like Francisco said, we adapted on the fly, got everyone where they needed to go. And ultimately, those tour members are going to have a crazy adventure story to come home and tell when it's all said and done.
Well, thank you so much, Robyn, I was in the office with you yesterday watching you and some of our colleagues race around to make sure that everybody was taken care of. And so on behalf of our tour members, thank you. And it's good to know that our current Spain and Portugal tour members are being taken care of. But now I would love to turn our attention to our prospective Spain and Portugal tour members that we have here with us tonight. I know you have an exciting virtual tour in store for them. So I'm going to pop behind the scenes, let you two commence with that tour, and I will see you at the end for our Q&A.
Thanks, Gabe.
Perfecto.
All right. Well, Francisco, it's great to have you here. I think any day we get to talk about Spain and Portugal is a good day. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Just to start with, though, to give an outline of what we're going to do tonight, we've got Francisco here to talk about his favorite parts of Spain, and then we have a pre-recorded session from a guide to talk about Portugal. So that's going to be about half of the show. And then the second half is going to be after you're all inspired, running through those tour itineraries that you can choose from. So with that, I do believe that we are going to get started, and take it away, Francisco.
Okay, so let's talk about Spain and Portugal. What we are. Spain and Portugal, we are a mixture of cultures. And I think this picture, I love it. We took this picture this last August when all the guys, we went to Seattle and we were with Rick. This is part of the Spanish team and part of the Portuguese team. Yes, we do have a couple of Italians. They're always there. And it's the mixture of the cultures. All the cultures that have come into Spain is one of the most beautiful things. And it's what makes us the country that we are. And when we were preparing this, to me, the importance of the water. Water is what has united all Spain. We have to understand that water comes all the way from Roman times in Spain. When the Romans come into Spain, they bring the water, they bring the know-how of getting the water from the source to wherever you need it. And we have these magnificent, magnificent aqueducts. This is the aqueduct in the city of Segovia. And the Romans, they brought all of this amazingness of water. Okay, so from this point on, water has been part of our legacy, part of our history, the way we have communicated and brought culture. For the Romans, we have to go all the way to the Muslim Empire. In the year 711, the Muslims, the Moors, come into Spain, and they have the water, a resource that when they're coming from Africa, from Northern Africa, they don't have. And here, it is all about the pleasure of water. It's not anymore just water for gardening no, it's much more. It's a pleasure of joy. It's going to be the sound. It's going to be the reflections. This is the magnificent Alhambra in Granada. It's one of the important things that the Muslims brought with the water was hygiene. In Spain, we have Muslim heritage from the 8th century all the way to the 15th century. And the Muslims, every time they're going to pray, they have to wash themselves. So although in Europe, they have all of these horrible black plagues and all of these terrible things, in Spain, yes, we suffer them, let's not deny that, but with this culture, this heritage of cleanness, we did much, much better. So really, the connection of water, it is one of the things that, for us, it's a major, major thing. We have huge rivers in Spain, but the movement of water is important. Something that a lot of people don't realize is that we're all surrounded by water in Spain. We have 3 different seas or oceans around Spain. In the north, we have the beautiful city of San Sebastian. The beautiful city of San Sebastian is where the Cantabric Sea is here. The Cantabric Sea faces the north of Europe. From here, we're going to have all of these northern invasions. We're going to find the Celts, we're going to find the Vikings. All of that is going to come through the water, through the ocean, into Spain. They're going to bring a lot of greatness. This is some beautiful city of San Sebastian. It's incredible. And in this area, the Basque Country, you're going to find, when people think about the Spanish people, everybody says, oh, brown hair, brown eyes, brown hair, brown eyes. Well, not here. Here in the north, it's the place where you're going to find a lot of blonde people, red hairs, blue eyes, green eyes. Why? Scotland, Ireland is up there, Norway. So all of these influences we're going to get. Okay? So through the northern water, it comes all the way to here. Then we go from the magnificent Cantabric Sea to the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean, this is the Spanish Mediterranean Sea. It's beautiful. All the cultures came into here through here. The Phoenicians, the Greek, the Romans, they brought all that know-how, all of those amazing cultures, they came into Spain, and we became what we are, thanks for this influence of the Mediterranean. And there's one more sea in Spain, which is the Atlantic Ocean. This is the magnificent city of Cádiz, all the way in the southwest of Spain. Spain faces west, and west is the Americas. We cannot deny this beautiful legacy that we have coming from America. 1492, we used to say that Spain discovered America. Thank God now we're beginning to change this. We don't say this anymore. We don't even teach it in the schools this way. We say that Spain discovered the commercial route with America. Yes, we cannot deny all the bad things we did, but there was also another amazing things, the mixture of cultures. Spain, thanks to this Atlantic Ocean, breathes, and we live thanks to this ocean. The richness, the greatness, it is in here. So our culture is mixed with all of these things. And one of the most important things in Spanish culture is going to be flamenco. Flamenco, we need to add one more twist to all of this cultural heritage that we have. We need to bring up the gypsies. And yes, I know the gypsies, the word gypsy in America, it's derogatory. You guys say Romas. When people come to Spain, you cannot say Romas. It is derogatory for us, for our gypsies, to call them Romas. Why? This is that gypsies, they come from India. When they hit Europe, some of them went to the north through Romania. That's why they're called Romas. And others came to the south, to Egypt. Egyptians, gypsies. So the ones who came to Spain, they came through the south, and they're the gypsies. And the gypsies, it is, and especially the flamenco art, it is the collection, the connection of all of these cultures put together. You're going to have sounds from South America and Central America. You're going to have sounds from the Mediterranean. And everything, it comes in the ruffles of a skirt, the movement of a hand, the passion of the voice, everything. The flamenco, our gypsies, they get all of these influences from everywhere around the world and puts them in an art form. Flamenco, it's beautiful, it's passionate, and flamenco talks a lot about one of the most controversial things that we have in my country, bullfighting. Is it a yes? Is it a no? Well, it's undeniable that it's a Spanish thing. At this moment, I would say there's about 30% of the people of Spain are pro bullfighting, and about a 20% is about like a meh, I don't care. And a 50% of Spain is 100% against bullfighting. It's a hot potato. But bullfighting is all about passion. Passion that breathes from all of this heritage. Bullfighting, if you here we have two bull rings, on the left Pamplona, on the right Ronda, they are Roman Colosseums. That's the origin of bullfighting. And we need to learn, we need to see, to understand what is bullfighting, to understand it, not to accept it, not to like it, but it's a very important part of our culture, our heritage. It's a mixture of all of this. It's all about passion. It's controversial, but it is part of Spain. Another big important thing of Spain is religion. We cannot talk about Spain without religion, and not just Catholicism. Okay, we have three main religions, so let's go over the three of them. The most important one, because it's the one that has stayed here longer and we have more presence, is Catholicism. Christianity arrived in Spain by the 3rd, 4th century. This Madonna, that it's probably my favorite one in all of Spain, is the one that is in the Cathedral of Toledo. It's tender, it's joyful, it's magnificent. Spain is a Catholic country that we find these beautiful temples constructed many, many, many centuries ago. But from this beauty, this magnificence from the past, we can go to the magnificent beauty of today, which is La Sagrada Familia. A cathedral is still under construction. I was saying that water, nature, is a very important thing for Spain. Well, here, Antonio Gaudí's masterpiece in the city of Barcelona, it talks all about nature. It's about a forest. It's a place where Gaudí himself, a very religious person, by the way, there's a movement trying to make Antonio Gaudí a saint. We'll see. But he said that the most important creation done by God, it's nature. So he wanted his cathedral to become nature, and it's a forest. You have all of these branches, all of these leaves, all of these trees as a vault. And it's such a privilege to walk in a cathedral that is under construction. You go from these magnificent, huge, beautiful temples to humble little hermits. This is Santa María de Eunate, one of my favorite places in all Spain. It's a Romanesque chapel that is on the Camino de Santiago. What is the Camino de Santiago? It is the most important Christian pilgrimage that takes place in Europe. It is from everywhere around Europe and crosses all northern Spain. This pilgrimage, not anymore Christian pilgrimage, now it's a Camino, it's a way of reflection, of connection with humanity and yourself and your past, has brought all the richness from everywhere around Europe. Okay, we're going to find Romanesque art, we're going to find Gothic art, we're going to find Baroque art. So Christianity in Spain go from huge old cathedrals to magnificent modern culture structures to humble little chapels like Santa María de Eunate. By the way, I love this place. This was my wedding chapel, so I really, really, really love this place. So from Christianity, we go to Judaism. Judaism in Spain, the presence of Judaism, it's more than beyond. Why? Jews came to Spain with the first diaspora when they were expelled from Egypt. We do have some remains in Spain from that time period. So imagine how long they stayed here. But later in history, when Jews, they were expelled from France in the 12th century, they seek refuge here in Spain. When they were expelled from England on the 13th, they seek for refuge here in Spain. And here we have the magnificent influence of Judaism in our heritage. We're going to find incredible synagogues in the city of Toledo. Toledo is the place where the three monotheistic religions are going to meet: Christianity, Judaism, and Muslims, and they're going to live in peace. The city of Toledo, it is clean, it is washed by the Tajo River. It is a symbol of that the water can clean souls and can make three religions who, instead of fighting, they can live together. Toledo is that place. It's the place where you're going to find a synagogue, you're going to find a cathedral, and you're going to find a mosque. Three cultures, bringing the best of each one of them in one place. To me, Toledo, it's a magical, magnificent, magnificent place. If we talk about Christianity, we talk about Judaism, we have a third leg to the religion, which is going to be Muslims. Islam. Islam came into Spain, as I said, on the 8th century. In the year 711, the Muslims come into Spain, and they are the most advanced civilization at that moment. Okay, They are going to bring agriculture, medicine, astronomy, astrology, and beauty. The beauty of all of this art, it's beyond. This is, yet again, the Alhambra. The Alhambra, it's a pleasure for the senses. You are going to see the Alhambra, you're going to breathe the Alhambra, you're going to hear the Alhambra. It is beyond your eyes. It has to be felt even better. The Alhambra is all about that passion. Okay? It's the passion of the joie de vivre, like the French say. It's the pleasure of living, the pleasure of excitement, and it's a gorgeous place. The best place to me to go see the Alhambra is inside, but one of the things I love is to watch it from up in front, which is from the Albaicín. And from the Albaicín mountain, you get this magnificent view of the Alhambra. To me, this is one of my highlights of the tour, the Best of Spain tour, because we have dinner overlooking the Alhambra. And this brings us to food. Food in Spain, you can eat your way through our country, and we're going to find heritage of all of these religions. We have the Jewish artichokes. In Spain, our Jewish community, the Sephardics, they ate a lot of artichokes, and you're going to find, especially now that it's the season, you're going to find artichokes everywhere. From the Jews, we go to the Muslims. The Muslims ate a lot of fish, and we have sent 3 different, not oceans, because the Mediterranean is not an ocean, but we have 3 sources of water. We're going to find all of these food everywhere around. For us, food is, I would say, almost a religion. We love to eat. We love to eat. We love to be sitting down on a table, sharing, and it is really an amazing thing, especially the paella. By the way, one of the things that for local guides, it drives us crazy. You Americans don't say paella, you say paella. It's like, come on, take one yay out. It's paella. But it is the perfect mixture of ingredients because it brings all the grains from the Mediterranean, the vegetables from the northern part. So it's a melange. It's the perfect dish that represents Spain. And Spain without food, without this joy of eating, it's something that we don't understand. When people come to Spain, you need to be open to laugh, to enjoy food, to share food. There's always a bottle of wine that is going to be open for you because it's the way we love to communicate. In Spain, on a table is where we do relationships, friendships, business, everything. It's on a table. It's a place where Spain becomes happy and it becomes joyful. And all of these cultures, all of these things in Spain, it's the place where we celebrate. In Spain, we just love celebration. This is La Feria de Abril, April's Fair in Sevilla. And I love this picture because this is the most Spanish dress, the flamenca dress. And the flamenca dress, it is the ruffles of the gypsies. It is that shawl that these ladies are wearing. It is called Mantón de Manila from the Philippines. Our national dress breathes from what comes from the ocean, from the water. We celebrate life here in Sevilla, but we also celebrate life all the way from the south to the north, to my hometown, Pamplona. This is the celebration of the week of San Fermín. It's a moment, yes, we do run with the bulls, but it's a moment that everybody is happy. It's a moment where kids are welcome, grown-ups are welcome, elderly are welcome. It's a moment of joy. Spain is a country that I always say, when I say Spain, please don't get me wrong, I'm talking about Spain and Portugal. It is the place where we want to put a smile on people. Everybody is welcome in Spain. We only want to see smiles in Spain. Spain is a place to come, to enjoy, to experience, let it feel, let it breathe inside of you. So Spain, it's welcome everybody. We would love to see you all in here.
Wow, Francisco, that is just whetting my appetite to go back to Spain. All those places are near and dear to my heart. And I loved how you connected the spirituality with the water and with these sites that you can go experience, like the Camino de Santiago or a simple church or synagogue or mosque. What is one place that you always go back to or always enjoy going in Spain while you're with a group?
Well, with a group, I love, as I said, I love Granada. I love that dinner in front of the Alhambra. But one of the places, because it's dear to my heart, is the Camino de Santiago. And on the Basque tour, we walk one day on the Camino. And to me, that is probably, as a tour guide, is the day I work the least, but it's a very personal, very private, and it's a very beautiful moment. So I love the Camino.
I'm so glad that we get to have that on our Basque tour, and I will be covering that a little bit later. But for now, we are going to move on to a little presentation about Portugal. We have a guide, Claudia, who really wanted to be here tonight. She couldn't make it, but she really wanted to be able to share her love of Portugal with us. So she did a little pre-recording, and I believe Gabe is going to pop that video up for us.
Olá, I am Claudia Costa, one of the Rick Steves tour guides. I am doing Portugal tours, and I'm very proud and very excited to show you my country and one of the most important cultural highlights. Portugal is known for the discoveries. It's our golden age period, and Portugal is home for one of the most important sailors, such as Vasco da Gama, and having the navigator that you can see on the monument here with a hat. He started the discoveries, and the discoveries also allow us to talk about a lot of parts of the Portuguese culture, such as gastronomy, religion, traditions, such as the fado. So talking about the discoveries, the monastery that we have in Belém, that is done with the Manueline style. In the architecture, you can see the caravel that the Portuguese were known to bring spices. This monastery was done with a percentage of the tax of pepper. So we have in Belém one of the most famous cream custard tarts that we always sprinkle a little bit with cinnamon, and they are the famous called pastéis de Belém. The recipe, in fact, was from the monastery, the Jerónimos monastery, the monks from the Jerónimos monastery. So, and another important item of our cuisine is the king of the kitchen, that is the cod. So the cod is salted. We cannot eat the cod like this. We have to soak the cod at least 3 days and changing the water. And we have 365 ways of preparing cod, imagine. At least try one of them while you are in Portugal. We also have all kinds of fish in Portugal and seafood. If we have the king, that is the cod, we also have the queen, that is the sardine. We have different ways of eating sardines. We can also dry them and then do a vinaigrette and eat with a salad. And we can also eat the sardines fresh and beautifully grilled with a little bread, and it's perfect with a salad, something that is special in the summertime. Barnacles. Barnacles, you can also try them in Nazaré. They are really difficult to find because they are really expensive, but it's also something that you might try in Portugal. All kinds of seafood and fish, they are really amazing in Portugal. We have also another important culture, that is fado, and the fado has a very important feeling of longing, but also the word saudade, it's present on the lyrics. I usually say that saudade is the presence of the absence, and I'm not saying that this is bad. Well, we always can be missing someone, but at the same time it's a good feeling. Fado can be sung by women, can be sung by men, and when men sing, they sing in Coimbra with the black capes. The black capes are also a tradition that was brought from the university in Coimbra, one of the older universities in Europe. And the reason why I have this slide here is because they are girls throwing their capes to the air, and the girls only went to the university in Coimbra in the 19th century. So fado is another important tradition, but we also have others, and one of them is very important to us, that is religion. Religion, especially the Shrine of Fatima. I think the Shrine in Fatima is one of the most important representations of religion in Portugal. People go there to ask, well, even if you don't have really much faith, I think this is a special place. It has a beautiful energy in the air. People go there for mass. People go there to have communion. People go there to pay promises that they ask. And they do a very important one, that is the procession on their knees. And again, I don't understand this as a bad thing. People are paying for what that it was promised and it was accomplished. So I hope to see you in Portugal one of these days. And thank you for joining me, and keep on traveling.
Oh, I'm so glad that we were able to get Claudia's presentation on Portugal. And Francisco, you're probably thinking, like I was thinking, that so much of Portugal is similar to Spain with the barnacles and the sardines. And by the way, I've had barnacles both in Portugal and in Spain, and I don't know which ones are better. But to you, I mean, what do you think, as someone who lives in Spain, what's something that is in common with Portugal, or what's something unexpected that's very different from Portugal?
So to me, one of the things, and I love how Claudia was explaining about saudade, about the fado. I always like to compare fado and flamenco, which a lot of people think is totally different, but they breathe from the same heritage. And we play with the same guitars and pretty much the same thing. To me, the big difference is that flamenco is sung from the guts. It's while fado, saudade, is sung from the heart, from the soul. So it's the same music, totally different on this at the same time, sung from a different perspective. So to me, fado, it's a way to connect, like flamenco. So to me, it's one of the most beautiful cultural similarities that are totally different.
I agree. I think maybe flamenco to me is more like energetic, more aggressive, more kind of about action, whereas fado is more about longing and love and passion. But they're both very similar, and we're seeing the connections between both. And I know a lot of times people want to compare or say that there's a rivalry between Spain and Portugal, but I don't think there is. I think they're just two sides of the same coin.
It is two sides of expressing love, passion on a different way, but it's the same core, representing and sharing love and passion.
I think that's what makes this corner of Europe especially interesting, is the connections that we make with people as we're traveling. So yeah, thank you both, Francisco and Claudia, for giving us your highlights. I now am going to run us through the options of traveling on a Rick Steves tour to the Iberian Peninsula, if this has inspired you to join us. Maybe you're a first-time traveler, you haven't traveled with Rick Steves Europe Tours before. In that case, I highly recommend you check out our Tours 101 info session. We just presented last Tuesday, so you can see the most recent recording on ricksteves.com, or if you want to watch the live version, the next session will be on May 8th, and you can register online at ricksteves.com. I think Francisco and Claudia both demonstrated part of what makes the Rick Steves tour so special. And I will just add that our tour style, our travel style, really embodies our philosophy, again, of bringing people together for fun and culturally broadening experiences that are going to move you. Our Tours 101 session will go more into detail about what our travel style exactly is, but the nuts and bolts of it are really just what you see on the screen here. We're a small group of travelers together. Everything's included, all the tips, that we don't sell any excursions, all those sorts of things. So if you're interested, definitely check out the Tours 101 session for more details. And now, as we saw at the beginning of the show, we do have this lovely map showing all of the tours that go through Spain and Portugal. And I'm just going to briefly run through each one and kind of give the highlights or the wow moments of what you can expect from each different itinerary. starting with our Best of Spain in 14 days, which begins in Barcelona and ends in Sevilla. And this is kind of our survey tour. So it's the perfect introduction for a 2-week trip through the quintessential parts of Spain, covering what Rick Steves considers to be the must-see or the must-do sites in a tidy 2-week trip. So as we've seen, and we will continue to see these patterns throughout the next couple minutes, in Barcelona, that definitely means seeing the Sagrada Familia, more Gaudí sites as well. The city is just full of them. And you'll have a guided tour with a local, and this is what really stands out for Rick Steves tours, are those local guides like Francisco himself in Pamplona, who are near and dear to us and bring these cities to life for us. After 2 nights in Barcelona, we will head off to the metropolis of Madrid. And something that is unique to our Spain tours, a couple of the itineraries, is that we'll actually take the AVE train between Barcelona and Madrid. That's the high-speed train line, to make what would be a 9-hour car ride just a short 3.5-hour train ride. And then from there, you're in the heart of the city, Puerta del Sol. This is the neighborhood that our tours sleep in, full of life. Something that Francisco didn't mention, but speaking about the Spanish coming out and just shrugging their shoulders and saying, okay, well, there's no power, but we'll just head outside. At night, that's when definitely people are out living their best lives in Spain. So if you're a night owl, you're really going to love it. While you're in Madrid, you will definitely see the Prado Museum with a guided tour. You'll see the Royal Palace, and you'll get a day trip out to Segovia, which Fran mentioned earlier with the aqueduct. With a local guide, you'll also see the Alcazar, and then we didn't cover it earlier, but there is a special meal that you'll get to enjoy in Segovia. I think, Francisco, that might be my favorite meal on all of the tours.
I think so too. We have a
Oh,
side.
yeah. Uh-huh.
God,
You'll be back in Madrid for one more night, and then the next day you will head out to Toledo, which we've heard a little bit about. And the beautiful thing about this is you get to spend the night in Toledo, so you're there after the crowds leave. You have the whole city to yourself. While you're there in the afternoon, you'll have a guided walking tour and see sites like the cathedral. And you'll go into the Santa Cruz Museum, and you'll be free to see other sites that, like Francisco mentioned, kind of meld the 3 religions that have influenced Toledo. Now, another really cool thing that happens on the Spain tour is after you leave Toledo, you actually get to stop and get a guided tour of a old windmill. So this is something special. You're in the land of La Mancha, Don Quixote territory. You get to have a meal there and go walk amongst the windmills, which is something unique that people really enjoy. I had to include this dinner at a traditional Carmen. This is the dinner that Francisco has his vote to be the best meal on the tour, overlooking the Alhambra. Really special evening, and I think a lot of tour members really enjoy the ambiance here. And then the next day, definitely you're going to get to see the Alhambra. We've already heard about the highlights and the importance of the Moorish influence and culture there. You'll also have free time in Granada to visit the Royal Chapel and to sightsee a little bit more. After leaving Granada, you are on your way to Ronda, which with its gorge and its bridge over the gorge connecting the old and the new town. And again, you spend one night here, which is great because you get to be there for the entire day, evening after the tour day trippers leave. And from Ronda, something unique that you get to do is visit a working horse and bull farm called Reserva Tauro. And here you're going to learn, as Francisco mentioned, kind of the culture and history and passion that surrounds bullfighting. From there, we head to Cadiz. I love that Francisco did most of my work for me, talking about the port city of Cadiz. Spend 2 nights there learning about the influence of the trade and Christopher Columbus and ties to that. But besides that, I think what's also unique and fun about Cadiz is the locals. This is a working town. It is where you're going to rub elbows with the locals and again, have those people-to-people connections and really enjoy a working, living Spanish beach city. After Cadiz, you head to Sevilla, and we're going to spend 2 nights in what is the capital of Andalusia, filled with horse carriages and that famous flamenco show. We'll also have a guided tour with a local guide seeing the Alcazar and the cathedral. And then, unfortunately, the tour is over, but we have a nice farewell dinner, sharing your memories and taking them home with you. So that is our Best of Spain tour in 14 days. And then we have the Best of Andalusia in 10 days. So this tour dives a little bit deeper into Spain's best known region, and it mixes the heavy hitters like the Alhambra with cultural performances and a lot of food. And I think really one of the stars of the Andalusia tour is food. We'll get to that in a moment. This tour begins in Cordoba, where you spend 2 nights. And Cordoba is a lovely introduction to Andalusia, a mix of modern and Moorish. While you're in Cordoba, you'll have the opportunity to visit the famous patios and the mezquita with guided tours and make your own discoveries. And Cordoba is another one of the towns that has a lovely mix of Christian, Muslim, and Judaism, to see how each of those religions really helped to shape Andalusia. From Cordoba, we head into the high-end region and we go to the town of Úbeda. And this is a wow moment on the Best of Andalusia tour, according to our tour members. Úbeda is in the heart of olive country. And in this particular part of Spain, there's more than 80 million olive trees and countless producers. And you will get a chance to visit a producer and taste some of that olive oil to learn just why it's so special. After Úbeda, this tour also spends a night in Ronda, giving you free time to enjoy the bull ring there, where you can visit on your own. And this evening, you'll have a musical performance, a guitar concert by a local gentleman who is just incredibly talented. And if you enjoy music at all, I know I'm mesmerized by Spanish guitar. I could just listen to it all night long. From there, we head to Granada. So after 1 night in Ronda, we'll spend 2 nights in Granada. And this is where we start to see the Moorish influence a little bit more, with the shopkeepers, especially in the Mezquita and the Albaicin, with all of the different vendors there selling all of the colorful tiles and patterns and lanterns and shawls and everything that is connected to that Moorish history. We'll visit the Alhambra with this tour and also give you free time to make discoveries on your own. And after Granada, we have to say goodbye in Sevilla. Again, this is just what we think of as Americans. I think when we imagine Spain, we're probably imagining Andalusia with all of the culture and the dresses and the flamenco and the feria that Francisco already mentioned. Also, the Royal Alcazar, we'll visit that with a local guide, and we'll get a back streets tour through the little Barrio Santa Cruz. But again, I think another wow moment and a main highlight of the Andalusia tour is the food. It definitely stands out on this tour. You're getting a lot of different kinds of tapas. Of course, there's some wine and Montiamariles, which is like a sherry. And this is where, if you love cheese and olives and potatoes and boquerones and salmorejo, you are going to love all of the meals on the Andalusia tour. After that, we also have the Best of Barcelona-Madrid city tour. So this combines Spain's 2 top cities with a day trip to Toledo. And here we start in Barcelona. Again, you'll see the Sagrada Familia. You'll also have more time to explore the rest of the city and more Gaudí-inspired locations. Also, you'll see things like the Gothic Quarter, the Barcelona Cathedral. You can go down to the water, spend time there. I love our city tours because you really get to dive a little bit deeper and explore different neighborhoods and really get a feel for the city before moving on. After 3 nights in Barcelona, we do head off on that same AVE train, high-speed train, to connect to the metropolis of Madrid. And here you're treated, you can see the juxtaposition between the architecture of Barcelona and Madrid. I'm often asked, what city is better, Barcelona or Madrid? I can't answer that for you. It's something that you have to choose for yourself. But it's clear that you can see distinctly the difference between the two cities aesthetically. But I would also say that Madrid is a little bit more cosmopolitan and more of a metropolis, whereas Barcelona is a little more aesthetically pleasing and fanciful, I guess I would say. While you're in Madrid on this tour, we will visit the Prado Museum and other world-class museums. We'll see the Royal Palace, the sumptuously decorated Royal Palace. Free time, we'll see you going to perhaps the people-packed Rotero Park. And in both cities, you'll have plenty of evenings free to make your own discoveries and just soak in the ambiance and watch the people, watch the life go by. I did mention also that this tour makes a day trip to Toledo. So if you are keen on seeing that as well, Barcelona, Madrid might be the tour for you. So we'll head out there as a group. We'll have a guided tour of the city, and then we'll be home in Madrid in time for a farewell dinner. So nice and tidy 8-day tour there, mixing those two big cities. Then we have to head north to Francisco's home country, the Basque Country tour of Spain and France in 9 days. And the Basque region is one of Europe's most ancient and independent leading regions, straddling the border of Spain and France. The 9-day tour starts in Bayonne, which is actually in France. And I'm always surprised. I mean, you can, again, striking difference in the architecture, see what it's like to be up in the Basque Country. It's not typically what you consider to be Spanish architecture or Spanish food, although they do love their bread. But you do get a chance to hit the ground running with a visit to the Museum of Basque Culture, which is really going to set you up for the rest of the tour and dive a little bit deeper into what it means to be in this part of Spain and France. After 2 nights in Bayonne, we cross over the Pyrenees into Spain, and we make our way down to Francisco's town of Pamplona, which was a key stop on that Camino de Santiago that he spoke about a little bit earlier. We'll have a guided tour, probably with Francisco, or if he's busy, he'll send one of his friends to give us a guided tour. Of course, we'll make some stops along the way, learning about San Fermin, the running of the bulls, and we will have one of those society meals that he was talking about, food and culture mixing, and definitely a lot of wine on any of the Spain or Portugal tours, which is not necessarily what you get on other country tours. So I gotta say that I get in trouble because people go on the Spain tours and they drink all the wine, and then they go to Germany and they think, where's the wine? Well, guess what? In Spain, I think they actually charge you more if you decline the wine. Am I right, Francisco?
Yeah, water is more expensive than wine in many places.
Yeah.
So
It's just economic to take the wine.
there we go.
There we go. And then leaving Pamplona, we get to experience the top wow moment on this tour, which Francisco alluded to just a moment ago, which is spending an entire day on the Camino de Santiago as a pilgrim. And this is a really special activity, and it mostly is downhill, so don't get too scared. It definitely is something that people will remember forever. You get to go at your own pace. There's really just one way you can go, and everyone ends up, you do get to go to the church, the Eunate church on the way, and then you make it to the Puente la Reina little town where we are going to pause for lunch and some wine tasting, which is the perfect reward after a day on the Pilgrim Trail. We eventually end up in San Sebastian with the breathtaking views of the beach, a lovely old town, and really in San Sebastian, it's known for its pinchos, which is tapas. Here you are going to eat well, whether it's pinchos or it's a Michelin restaurant or it's just gastronomy at its best. You are not going to go hungry with all of the different options that you have here. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it, Francisco. But really, I think San Sebastian has become known. It has so many Michelin star restaurants, and even if you're not at a Michelin star restaurant, you can expect this kind of high cuisine at any meal.
Yeah, my food in San Sebastian, it's beyond. I mean, and one of the things I love to tell our guests and all our tour members, sorry, is that tapas is the perfect thing to go a little risky and I don't know if I'm gonna like it. Give it a try. Give it a try. If you don't have an allergy, just go wild and get whatever makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but for sure it's gonna be good.
It's going to be affordable. It's going to be good. It's going to be an adventure.
Yeah.
Well, when we leave San Sebastian, we start our day with a visit to a sheep farm, and we learn just how important sheep farming is to the Basque community. After the sheep farm, we head to the town of Guernica, and we learn about the infamous air raid that inspired Picasso's anti-war painting. Now, the painting itself is held in the Reina Sofia in Madrid. Here, we're just concentrating on visiting the town and the impact that it had. After we leave Guernica, we do come to Bilbao, and we are going to end our day on the river straddling town there. And we're going to end our tour here and it's the perfect place to end the tour because it's a town that's part historic and part modern, and we'll get to see that in the Guggenheim Museum. And after that, I think you've done a pretty good job seeing the best of the Basque country of France and Spain. Now, we do also have what we call the My Way vacation. We have a My Way Spain tour in 11 days that starts in Barcelona and ends in Sevilla. And our My Way tour program includes all of the hotels and breakfasts. It includes your transportation, and it includes a savvy tour manager to help manage your sightseeing priorities. But it leaves you completely free to choose what you want to do each day. So starting in Barcelona, that means you could spend a day visiting the Sagrada Familia or other Gaudí sites. We take that same bullet train or AVE train from Barcelona to Madrid, where you can make your own discoveries just lounging in the Plaza Mayor. Of course, you can also arrange to see the Prado or the Royal Palace on your own. From Madrid, we head down to Granada. Here's a perfect day where you can book an entrance to the Alhambra, and you can use one of their audio guides there or the walking tour that's in the Rick Steves guidebook. Or if you fancy just relaxing, you could enjoy the culture and the sounds up on the lookout that looks over the Alhambra and the Albaicin, or simply just take in the sights and the sounds and enjoy a tinto de verano. I see one woman in this photo is having tinto de verano. That is their version of sangria. So if you want to be really local, you ask for the tinto de verano or sit and relax and have a cerveza, a beer. After Granada, this tour also spends the night in Ronda. So all three of the Spain tours, the best of Spain, the best of Andalucía, and the My Way Spain all spend one night in Ronda. And again, you are free to just spend the day however you like, whether it's hiking down at the gorge, visiting the bull farm, having a cocktail at a rooftop bar, going to a guitar concert this evening. It's totally yours to prepare whatever moves you. After Ronda, we spend 2 nights in Sevilla, and here you can visit the cathedral, the famous Plaza de España, and you can craft this tour to be whatever you want the trip of your dreams to be. So that is our Spain My Way tour. And last but not least, we are heading over to Portugal for our Heart of Portugal in 12 Days tour. This tour starts in Lisbon and ends in Porto. And there are several top wow moments here, and we're going to see some repeated sites that Claudia already mentioned. This tour starts in Lisbon, and it's one of our most popular tours. It sells out every year, and I think people really enjoy it because of just how different it is. It's not as well known. It doesn't have those major marquee sites like Sagrada Familia or the Alhambra, but it has so much, and there's such a cultural person-to-person connection. One of my favorite days on this tour is actually the second day of the tour, where you have what's called a 3 neighborhood walking tour, where you get to go through the Barrio Alto, the Alfama, and the Baixia neighborhoods. And by the time you're done with this, you really feel like you understand what Lisbon is all about. leaving us free the next day to go to Belém. This is the neighborhood that Claudia mentioned, focusing on the area of discoveries in Portugal's age of exploration. She did mention that monastery of Geronimos, and we do tour that here as a group as well. And this is where she mentioned that the monks of the monastery of Geronimos make the famous pastry, the pastéis de Belém. So this is a fantastic way to get started understanding Portuguese culture, not only through its history of exploration, but also through its culinary history. And then we leave Lisbon and we leave that bustling city we leave the bustling city behind us and we head to the laid-back countryside, a town of Évora. And here we'll spend the afternoon exploring the town's Roman heritage, the temple, and the whitewashed old town, and you'll have a free evening to relax. From Évora, one night there, we head into the Alentejo countryside today, and we have one of this tour's top wow moments, which is very special. We visit a cork farm run by 3 generations of the same family. And here we get on one of their little vehicles, we head out into the property to walk through the oak grove and to learn about the importance of cork farming before we sit down to a communal meal together with this family. And this is such a fun, cool experience. One of my colleagues was on this tour last year and she came back with an amazing video of the grandfather trying to communicate something with her. He didn't speak any English, she didn't speak any Portuguese, but together they figured out what he was trying to say about the importance of the cork. And there's just something that she'll always remember. And I think those people-to-people connections, I think, are definitely wow moments on tour. We are headed this afternoon after the cork farm to the town of Tomar, and we'll have an orientation walk along the riverside, and we'll see this kind of the workaday town, the inviting squares. And the next day, we will learn about the town's connections with the Knights of Templar. And then in the afternoon, we will hit that Nazaré beach that Claudia mentioned in her presentation. Now, Nazaré is known for its beach, surfing, and its seafood. And here you can definitely feast on that seafood and try those barnacles like she showed a picture of. Leaving Tomar after 2 nights, we make 2 short pilgrimage stops on the way to Coimbra. The first is to Batalha and the monastery of Santa Maria. And this is in memory, or it's in honor of when Portugal broke free from the Spanish domination of the country. Sorry, Francisco.
No, it's history.
And after Batalha, we do get to go stop at Fatima, and you heard from Claudia what a moving experience that can be for anyone who visits. That afternoon, we'll arrive in Coimbra, which is Portugal's historic capital, and we'll end with a dinner together because the next day we'll have a walking tour twisting our ways through its maze of streets up to the famous university, which is known for its library, over 30,000 books from the 18th century. And we'll also get to experience some of that fado that Claudia mentioned. After 2 nights in Coimbra, we get to dive into the Douro Valley, spectacular destination and another wow moment for our tour members. We will visit a quinta, or a working vineyard, where we'll get to taste some of Portugal's famous wines and port. And then we'll settle into our Douro Valley hotel with spectacular settings for the evening. The next day, it's off to Porto, our final stop on the tour. We'll leave 2 nights in Porto and we'll explore its romantic Ribeira riverside neighborhood. We'll explore its colorful tiles, and of course, we'll have some local treats along the way on a food walk. And then we'll have one more final meal together, sharing our memories and enjoying the past journey that we've taken together. So with that, Gabe, I think we have an overview of all of the tours in the Iberian Peninsula.
Robyn, Francisco, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for that tour. I've been a lot of these places and I felt like I learned new things about them and I already want to go back. We have a lot of fantastic questions from our travelers, more than we'll have time for, so thank you to all of you for submitting those. Before we get to those, though, I have just a few quick reminders for our viewers. In case you missed some of our opening announcements, I just want to remind you that you can enter our tour giveaway. We are giving away 2 individual city tours to Rome, Paris, London, or Istanbul. And Emily, if you could post that link in the chat again so that people can sign up if they haven't already, that would be wonderful. All of our 2026 itineraries are $100 off through July 7th as part of our early booking discount that will be automatically applied at checkout. And of course, we still have tours on sale for 2025. You can find those at ricksteves.com. And remember, we still have 3 more great shows. In fact, tomorrow, I will be doing Robyn's duty. I will be hosting and will be joined by French guide Virginie Moret to talk about our France tours. So I'm very excited to spend tomorrow night with all of you as well. All right, Francisco, Robyn, we have some excellent questions. I'm going to start with a pretty common one because unsurprisingly, many of our viewers after tonight's presentation are already rearing and ready to go to journey in Spain and Portugal, and many of them want to know what is the best time of year to go. And I know that this depends on what your wants are from a trip in Spain and Portugal, but Francisco, I was hoping maybe you could start by letting people know your recommendations for what month of the year to go.
So to me, the perfect moments is going to be May and September. Okay, coming here over the summer, it's especially if you're going to the center or south of Spain, I would recommend you not to come unless you're a beach goer and you just want to do beach visiting.
But I would imagine that maybe things would be slightly different if they want to come up to your part of the country, up in Basque country or near Pamplona, right?
Yes, all the way in the north, the weather is much more soft. It's not as hot as everybody thinks Spain is super, super hot. People from south of Spain, they come all the way to the north to spend the summer because it's very beautiful. You might get some rain, but it's, at night you need a little jacket to walk on the street. So it's perfect weather.
Robyn, I have a question for you. This one is from Susan, and Susan is wondering about how do you kind of, when you are traveling in Spain and Portugal, readjust your daily schedule to fit Spanish daily schedule of with the siesta in the afternoon and staying up late. We often hear from tour members, do I really need to eat dinner at 9 o'clock? So as an American that travels a lot in Spain, how do you try to organize your day to live as the Spaniards or as the Portuguese do?
Well, you really do have to embrace the siesta because if you are trying to run around between, I would say 3 to 7 p.m., it's going to be like the zombie apocalypse and you're going to wonder where everyone is. If you wait and if you take those hours, do something inside or rest, and then go back out after 7, after 8 is even better. Then that's when you're going to start to see the nightlife. So I would just say embrace the siesta. Of course, you can always get food. You're not going to be able to get food before 7. But I think you really do get into it pretty quickly. Whenever I'm over there, I'm always shocked at how quickly I can go from eating dinner at 7 to eating dinner at 10 or 11.
And I suppose after you've traveled across an ocean, you kind of have to reset your body clock anyways.
Yeah.
Francisco, do you have any advice to travelers who are maybe concerned about eating dinner so late or adjusting to the schedule?
If the problem is food, in Spain, you're going to find food everywhere pretty much all the time, especially if you go for tapas. Tapas is the thing to eat before sitting down dinner. So if you don't want to have a large Spanish dinner, go for tapas, and that will be your way to discover Spanish gastronomy at your more convenient time.
Robyn, I have another question for you. Leslie is wondering, how can people determine if the activity level on a tour is going to be right for them? I know this is something that you talk about during our Tours 101 information session. So I guess how can people kind of read our itineraries to know how much is expected? and then determine in general if a Rick Steves Europe tour is the right fit for them based on activity level?
Well, we have a activity meter on every itinerary that gives you kind of the overall score if it's light, strenuous, or sorry, light, moderate, or strenuous overall. And then day by day, when you read the description of what you do that day, it'll give that day's light, moderate, or strenuous rating. So you can kind of see like, oh, on this day it's going to be light, on this day it's going to be strenuous, and it's probably strenuous because you're walking up one big hill if it's to the Alhambra, and the rest of the day might not be strenuous at all. So that gives you kind of just an overall at a glance meter. And then if you have more specific questions, I would definitely say get in touch with the customer experience team at Rick Steves, who can give you really detailed information. But in general, I think, walking 2 to 4 miles a day is pretty typical, pretty standard. It's not a forced march. You're not walking those 2 to 4 miles all at once. It's not under pressure. It's not a race, but collectively on any given day, you can expect to walk 2 to 4 miles.
Thank you, Robyn. Speaking of activities, Francisco, many people, as they often do whenever we bring up bullfighting, there were a lot of thoughts and feelings, but I think one of the most common came from a lot of travelers who, like you said, it is, regardless of your thoughts, it is undeniably an aspect of Spanish culture and history. And for travelers that recognize that and are curious about learning about it, but maybe don't want to see the same level of violence, is there any way to kind of learn about bullfighting, either maybe through a museum, or are there any bullfights that maybe don't end in the death of the bull?
So bullfighting, yes, there's a lot of ways to see a bullfight. We do have, it comes from a Romans, and if you go to Crete, you're going to find mosaics of people jumping over the bulls. We also have it here, but the most popular thing is the bullfight with death at the end. So I would not recommend, if you don't know if you're going to like it or not, it's like, maybe not, but there are a lot of museums. I mean, most of the arenas, they have a beautiful museum and they're open when there's not a bullfight. So it's a perfect way to see it, learn from it. And then if you think you want to see it, I would do it after you learn about it. I would not go without any knowledge to a bullfight, because you're only going to see the gory part, not the historical part. So I would research a little bit about that and then go to a bullfight.
Francisco, another question kind of on the topic of learning to engage with the culture more deeply is language. Now, I'm a big language nerd. I used to be a Spanish teacher. And one thing that I love about the Iberian Peninsula is all the different languages. Of course, there is the Castilian Spanish, and then you have Portuguese, and then you have the Galician dialect, and then in the Basque country and in Catalonia, they speak different languages altogether.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, I guess, first of all, oftentimes our travelers wonder, can I get by in English? Will there be enough people that speak English? But also, we have very thoughtful travelers that want to engage with the local culture. How do you recommend that people maybe learn just a little bit of the language?
So for the first question, yes. In all the hotels, most of the taxi drivers speak fairly decent English. And one of the things that, as we work so much with Americans, I don't speak Spanish. You guys speak more words in Spanish than you think. So you just need to let those words come out of you. And in the moment you talk a little bit, people will be happy about it, and you just have to talk back and forth. Yes, turn on the TV, try to have, in the United States, you have a lot of Spanish televisions. Before you come, try to get some of it, get hold of the sound. And yes, South and Central American Spanish is different to the Spanish one, but it's just an accent. Yes, there are a few words that it will be funny if you say them here, but that's it. It will be funny. Nobody's going to be offensive. Here in Spain, I think everybody, when you try to talk in Spanish, people are very, very happy. So don't be afraid.
I absolutely agree. I think it's whenever I go to a place, I just think of it as kind of a faster way to make friends. They are not going to expect you to have a full conversation in the local language, but I do think that they take it as a sign of interest and engagement with the culture.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Robyn, I'm wondering when on our tours, oftentimes we talk about the balance between free time and activities, and how can people plan their free time? If they want to see sites, how can they kind of figure out what time of day they're going to be able to see the sites? And do we have any resources to connect people with to help them with making those reservations?
We do. I mean, our guidebooks are going to be the #1 resource for figuring out which sites need reservations, when they're open, that sort of thing. The Spain tours and the Portugal tour, they're really packed. They still have a decent amount of free time, but we really do a lot on all of those tours. A challenge that we have across all of Europe, but especially in key cities like Barcelona and Madrid and Granada, is reservation times that we get for the groups. Our best intention can be that we see the Alhambra at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, if on that day the Alhambra doesn't have a 9 o'clock in the morning entrance, then we buy a different entrance. So that makes it a little bit difficult for us to tell tour members specifically on the day that you visit the Alhambra, here's when you're going to be free. However, the guide can cover that in the first night welcome meeting. And in some cases, if there's a real change, that'll be communicated by Rick Steves' customer experience team before the tour begins.
Thank you. And Robyn, I'm glad that you mentioned the guidebook, because I also want to mention that when people sign up for a tour, they get the relevant guidebook as part of their tour kit so that they can make plans for their free time.
Mhm.
Francisco, another question for you. I know last year there was a lot in the news, and I know we here at Rick Steves Europe feel like some of these stories were blown out of proportion, but of kind of anti-tourist sentiment and demonstrations in Barcelona. And Gail is wondering, do you still see any of that anti-tourist sentiment in Barcelona or elsewhere in Spain? And how can our travelers make sure that they are the type of tourists that Spaniards want in town?
So, as I said, registered tourists are not tourists, are travelers. And I think that's the big difference. If you just come and you sweep the city and you can care less about anything, that attitude, locals are going to be like, no. But if you embrace, if you talk, if you take time to dive in the culture, people will love it and appreciate it. Yes, you might have one crazy person, go tourists, go home. Pfft, nothing. The important thing is to not go just to see sights. I think it's more important, especially Spain and Portugal, it's more about feeling it. So you need to embrace our culture. You need to come over here and not be an spectator. Don't expect us to adapt to you. This is Spain. You're coming over here. We love that you're coming over here. And try to, as we said, if you have one word in Spanish and a smile, use it. And that's it. And I haven't seen this year as much problems as last year. But really, it was more an anecdote and it was blown up. And especially social media was like, oh, this is... No, it's not. I haven't seen that.
Well, thank you, Francisco. And I know that as a very American person, I have always felt extremely welcome in Spain. We have time for one final question. This is a question that I asked earlier last week to the presenters for our Britain and Ireland presentation. And we've talked a lot about our travelers and how wonderful they are and how much we enjoy having them on tour. And I'm wondering, for each of you, what is your favorite wow moment to see kind of vicariously through our travelers' eyes? So not necessarily just the sight or the moment that you enjoy most yourself, but the sight or the moment that you most enjoy connecting travelers with and watching them experience it for the first time.
Robyn, you want to go first?
Well, people are really, really moved by Sagrada Familia, and I think it's easy to understand why. I think they're blown away and moved by the beauty and everything that exists within Sagrada Familia. But I actually think what I love most is getting people to try things at meals or watching them. The meal that I mentioned in Segovia, at the Jose Maria restaurant is a very special meal where we get to try a delicacy and to watch them come out, and there's kind of a performance that goes along with it. And that is always an eye-opener. And I don't know if I want to give away the surprise or not. Should I give it away, Francisco?
No. Let's keep it
No,
secret.
people have to join the tour.
Yes. So to me, the moments that I love, it's when I'm not with our tour members. I know it sounds kind of weird, but when by the third day, and I'm not with them, and I'm walking on the streets, and I see my tour members talking with locals, on a bar, sitting down, having fun. To me, in the moment they embrace the Spanish noise and the loudness and sitting outside terrace, to me, it's like, that's it. They got it. They got it. That's the moment, the magical moment for me. When I see my people enjoying and having a beer or a wine on a terrace and just people watching, to me, that's the magical moment on tour.
Well, thank you so much, Francisco, for creating those magical moments. We always say our guides are first and foremost teachers. And yes, they're teaching the art and the history, but they're also teaching the skills to travel more independently and to find your way around the city on your own. So, Robyn, Francisco, thank you again for taking time out of your evening to join us, and hope to see you in Spain sometime soon.
I hope to see you here.
And Robyn, I'll hope to, see you around the office tomorrow.
I think we'll probably be on another one of these soon, Gabe.
All right. Thank you, Robyn. And thank you again to all of you. Again, there are 3 more nights, as tomorrow I will be joining all of you along with French guide Virginie Moret to discuss our France tours. And then, as Robyn just alluded to, Robyn and I will be back on Friday together to do our grand finale show, recapping some wow moments from our tours across Europe. So thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon.